Welcome to The Trauma Teacher, the podcast dedicated to transforming therapists into masterful healers with confidence, creativity, and clarity. I'm Janice Holland, and I'm here to guide you through the journey of becoming the therapist you've always envisioned, helping you step into your full potential and make a profound impact on your clients' lives. Each week, we'll explore powerful strategies, share inspiring stories, and dive deep into the tools and mindsets you need to elevate your practice and create lasting change for both you and your clients. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, the Trauma Teacher is your go-to resource for overcoming challenges, embracing your unique healing artistry, and thriving in your career without sacrificing your well-being. So if you're ready to become the confident, creative healer you were meant to be, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Trauma Teacher, the show where we explore the art and science of healing. I'm Janice Holland, and today we are diving into the topic that's very close to my heart and has the potential to transform the way you approach your practice. It is the healing artist mindset. So every therapist I know loves to learn and research. We can really nerd out on learning techniques, on studying techniques, we're just so curious about what the newest, latest things are. We want to learn and grow. Like, we just love knowledge and love being in our head and even talking about the things that we're working on or the kinds of clients that we're seeing. Like, every therapist I know loves to do this. But I've seen kind of a dark side to this approach. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit first and then go back into what the healing artist mindset is all about and how you can begin evolving who you are as a practitioner into being more expressive in your artistic talents as a healer. So when we're in our head and when we're looking at and focusing on diagnosis and diagnosing people and looking through the DSM-5 and if you're like me, even like in college when I was taking abnormal psych, I had the DSM-5 out, was watching TV shows and like seeing what I could identify. I don't know. We just love that kind of stuff, right? So it was fun to do. And I think it's an important part of the work that we do, but it's not the only part of the work that we do, because if we stay focused there, then we stay focused on problems and seeing clients as, what problems they have and what diagnosis they have. And it can be tricky because we can't not do that, right? Like, we do need to diagnose our clients. We do need to, it is part of the service that we provide to them, but there's just so much more to it. If we stay focused there, then we're missing out on a big aspect of our role. We're missing out on really helping them evolve and transform. And honestly, then we're disconnected. Like, we're in our head and it's interesting to us, but who you are is disconnected from the work that you do. And when we are disconnected, who we are is not able to show up and be really present in the work that we're doing, then it gets old after a while. I mean, honestly, it gets boring. We get burnout. We get, compassion fatigue sets in because we are disconnected from the work. It's all in our head, and then it becomes more of like a chore or something we're doing. Like, if you think about like college, right? Like, at the beginning of college, it was fun and exciting, but if you weren't able to really be present in that experience and enjoy it and make it part of who you are, and studying and learning more about who you are, but it was just about like the task of learning, it got old after a while, and then we kind of get burnt out. So the same is true in our profession and in our career. So coming alive as an artist not only really helps the evolution and is essential to the evolution and transformation of your clients, but it makes you sustainable as a practitioner long term. So before I go any further into that, I want to stop and talk a little bit about trauma and how trauma, like the role that trauma plays in this whole process. So trauma causes us to disconnect in self-protection. Like, if you have, trauma is defined as an overwhelming experience. So, your nervous system gets flooded and you're not able to allow it's whatever you're experiencing is more than what your nervous system can recover from. So that can be a wide range of things, and what's traumatic to me may not be traumatic to you, which may not be traumatic to your client. So we can't really define like if an experience is or is not traumatic. If I've had an experience and my nervous system has been hijacked and I'm not able to recover, then it's trauma. So if I'm disconnected in self-protection, then we cut off from our intuitive skills and abilities. We cut off from our sense of who we are, because it's about survival, right? It's about just trying to get through a moment. So many of us in that process go to our heads. Like we cut off our ability to really feel and be present, because it's not safe. It doesn't feel safe to be present in the moment. So we go in our head and we begin to create safety through our knowledge, through our understanding, through what we're learning and how we learn, and the information that we can take in. So it's no secret that most people who become a therapist or go into a helping profession, become a coach, life coach, that kind of thing, we go into this profession because we've been through stuff ourselves. And we really want to pay it forward. We want to help people. We want to reduce the suffering in the world, or maybe, I know for me, it took me a really long time to find somebody who could really effectively help me. And I wanted to provide a service to people that was really true and genuine and honest and effective, and not allow people to have to search and look and be re-traumatized and hurt by somebody who's trying to help because they aren't properly trained, or they haven't worked through their own trauma or whatever. So, and honestly, that's also a big reason why I've transitioned into training therapists more than working with clients, because I see so many good-intended, good-hearted therapists wanting, doing the best that they can, but not fully understanding how their own story is still impacting the work that they do. So if you've been through a lot and you are working as a therapist or a life coach in order to support other people because you want to reduce the suffering in the world, amazing. Like, of course, and it makes sense. And that is part of the resolve, or part of the evolution of lifting the collective, right? Of those of us who understand can sit with people and be more compassionate. However, if you are still somebody who is unconsciously in self-protection by being more connected to the knowledge that you have and the ways that you are learning more than in being who you are, then you are in danger of not only not being able to help your clients fully evolve into their highest self and truly heal, but you are missing out yourself on so much flavor and color of life, and so much of your potential is not being tapped into because you just don't feel comfortable relaxing into yourself, because you don't feel safe yet doing that. So I want to say for sure, before I go any further, like this is developed in us to try and create safety and protection when we didn't have a sense of safety and protection. So there's no shame in this. There's no like you're bad or doing it wrong or any of that, because it's all born from the need for safety and from the need for establishing clarity, or some kind of clarity on how to move forward, so that we don't drown, so that we don't suffer any longer, so that we can create a life for ourselves, right? So if you, I'll just leave it there for now. So what I did is I created a checklist that may help. So maybe you're listening to this, you're like, I don't really know. I don't know if I'm somebody who's more in my head, and I feel like I'm a pretty good person and I'm, comfortable in my skin, but maybe I'm not. I don't know. So I created some questions for you to kind of consider so you can see where on the spectrum. So I think of everything as a spectrum, right? So where on the spectrum do you lie from being more guided by your head, by your knowledge, by your what you can consume versus just being who you are, being relaxed and comfortable as showing up as your true authentic self. So the first thing I came up with is, do you often feel disconnected from your emotions or struggle to express them creatively? So this isn't necessarily in session. Think of your life outside of session. Are you someone who's pretty closed off emotionally? Like you're comfortable with other people being emotional, or it doesn't bother you so much if somebody is emotional, but you don't feel comfortable expressing your own emotions. You don't feel comfortable crying in front of people, or you don't feel comfortable being really angry in front of people, or like you're pretty even keel. Like there's kind of a barrier between you and the expression of your emotion. So this is one sign that you're more in your head, that you're not fully, you haven't realigned yourself fully where you're just present in the moment. And if you're really happy, you can laugh, react joyously. If you're angry, you can express that without feeling shame or guilt, or, if you're sad and you need to cry, you cry. You don't feel like you need to say you're sorry or it's okay, I'm okay, don't worry about me, that kind of thing. Like you can just be emotional in front of people. Do you frequently second guess your decisions or doubt your instincts, even in simple situations? So, like, do you have trouble in your personal life, not necessarily in session, but in your personal life, do you have trouble just instinctively making decisions? Do you have to gather knowledge about everything first? Do you have to research everything first? Do you have to understand everything first before you can just go with a decision and make it like you're not really worried or scared about making a mistake? You can just make a decision without feeling like you are going to pay the price or have to suffer because of this decision that you made if you didn't fully research it first. All right. When your clients get emotional in session, do you feel your anxiousness rise a little bit? Do you feel like you need to calm them down? Do you feel like it's not that you're uncomfortable with their emotion or you want to shut it down, but you do feel responsible to fix it or make it okay, or you can't really manage them just being emotional and not trying to fix it for them. Okay, and do you avoid situations where you might need to be vulnerable or take creative risks due to fear or anxiety? So again, this is in your personal life. Do you feel like you can't really take risks, you can't be creative or put yourself in a vulnerable situation because you're afraid you might get hurt or you're not sure what's going to happen? Like, do you need to know what's going to happen? Many of us probably, well, I don't say many of us, some of us, like for me, I consider myself a pretty laid back person, but I learned that even though I was pretty laid back, I wouldn't really put myself in situations where I didn't understand it or I couldn't, I needed some sense of control or understanding before I would put myself in situations. And do you feel responsible for your client's emotional state? Like, do you feel like if they're really angry and they leave session angry, let's say they somehow got triggered in session, like, are you able to manage that without calling them, checking on them, creating another session for them, like making it okay? Do you need to make it okay? So these are some just simple, some simple questions that I created that you can go through. If you are like, oh my gosh, yes, that's me, I can identify with that. Then again, that doesn't make you bad. That doesn't make you wrong. That doesn't make you a bad therapist. It just means that, so like you lean more towards the kind of person who, through whatever life experiences you've had, you have disconnected from just being in your body, being in yourself, from being present and vulnerable to self-protecting by being in your head. Like you need to have knowledge and understanding, and like that skill has gotten you far. It's gotten you through getting your license. It's helped you create and establish a life for yourself, regardless of the things that you've been through. So it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that you are also not able to step into the full power of your gifting and who you are as a healing artist, because you're a little bit closed from the natural intuitions and gifting due to self-protection. And therapy it's interesting because it actually reinforces this self-protection, because we're trained in school, like, keep yourself out of it, keep your emotions out of it. And I don't disagree with all of those things. I fully agree with all of the ethical codes that we must follow. And we can hide behind those ethical codes and stay in a state of disconnection and justify our disconnection through the ethical codes. Do you see the difference? Like, I can realign and be very present with my mind, heart, and body and soul, and be able in my personal life to be very comfortable expressing emotion, being myself, being seen, showing up, taking risks. This is me being alive in my personal life. In my therapy sessions, I know that I need to be very focused on my clients and what they need, but it's not, I'm not reinforcing that with the hiding. God, this is so hard to explain. So I'm going to go through it a little bit more and what a healing artist is and what it looks like in session, to help you understand it a little more, and hopefully help you, feel comfortable coming more alive in your sense of self. So my goal is for you to be sustainable long-term as a therapist, because you are so connected to yourself and so alive in who you are, that you're able to create a personal life with real joy, meaning, groundedness, and you're able to show up in session because you are a fully connected, alive human being. Even though you're following ethical codes, like, you can guide intuitively with your clients. You can use your intuition to partner with the tools and skills that you've learned and techniques to help guide them and grow them. But you are not you're not limited in your capacity to really serve them, because you're not limited in your capacity yourself. So I'll give you a really good example, because I, for so many years, was so in my head and so good at my knowledge and skill, and less comfortable being in my body and in my intuitive gifting, that if a client came in and they were also very much in their head, I mean, this is all unconscious, right? So it's not like they are very good at talking and understanding knowledge, and and they want to talk about what's happened and why, and like the theory behind it. Like, I could go on and on with those clients. We could have a whole hour of incredible conversation, meaningful conversation, powerful conversation, but it's all in our head. We're not feeling anything in a session. We're not connecting to our feeling. I guess we're feeling things, but we're not connected to our feeling or really processing in our bodies any of the emotion. We're just talking about them. And so if I'm somebody who's very knowledgeable and comfortable in my head and in my knowledge, and I have a client who's very knowledgeable and comfortable in their knowledge and in their head, then we can go on and on for session after session after session after session, having incredible conversations. And the client can be like, oh my gosh, you're my person. I love coming to therapy. I'm so glad I finally found somebody who gets me, who I can talk to easily. I can tell you anything. And so we're talking about deep, meaningful stuff. We're talking about, understanding who they are and their past and the things that they've experienced. Like, we're having really good, deep, meaningful conversation, but it's all in our head. And because they're comfortable in that space and I'm comfortable in that space, if I'm not aware that I'm not fully connected, I'm not helping them connect to the true essence of who they are, and and how they've experienced those things in their body and feel comfortable coaching them and guiding them to that reconnection, instead of then I'm reinforcing their trauma response and they're reinforcing mine, right? So then we're like, oh, my favorite clients are this kind of client, the client that, but we don't realize that we're reinforcing each other's trauma response. And while it feels good moment to moment in those sessions, and it feels comfortable, and it feels interesting, and all, it's not really moving the needle in real transformative healing. So maybe they haven't been in a situation where they've been comfortable talking and they need to talk. So spend a few sessions talking. But if you're not helping them connect their mind and their body back together, because you're not going to feel comfortable doing that if you yourself haven't fully done it, then after a while it just becomes like, okay, what are we really doing here? We're just talking. And sometimes we never have that epiphany, and sometimes the client doesn't, but it's like you're just kind of walking in this circle of something that feels productive, but it's not really transformative. It's not really changing and allowing them to evolve into the highest expression of who they are and really create lasting, meaningful, connected, deep change in themselves, because we're keeping it in the head and we're keeping their trauma response of the safety mechanism of disconnection and lack of vulnerability. It's still very much present in their life, and it's going to cause an underlying sense of dissatisfaction. So maybe they think that they need a raise, or they think that they need another vacation, or another relationship, or maybe they think they need, they're going to come up with things that they need and goals that they're chasing, and goals feel really good for this kind of person, right? So they're like, no, I just need to find this next goal. I just need to, and we're the same way. If we're still very much in our head, we're looking at our next goals and what's the new certification I can get, and what's the new blah, blah, blah. And so we are reinforcing the disconnection and the lack of vulnerability that is required to feel fully alive in this lifetime, right? So if you want your clients to really achieve transformational, deeply satisfying change, where they are connected to their true self, where they can be vulnerable in the world around them and not be in self-protection, and that they know that they're safe with themselves no matter what situation they're in. They're safe. They can be themselves. They can be vulnerable. They can relax. They can just know who they are and be present in who they are. They don't have to know where they're going or what's happening or what they're doing. If you haven't been able to arrive in that place yourself, then you're not going to feel comfortable guiding your clients to that place too. All right. And a healing artist is somebody who is comfortable helping people and supporting people connect to their mind, body, spirit. And you do it through your intuitive gifting, through your comfort with just being present. And whatever's coming in the door, it's going to be okay. You're safe. You're good. You know that you are an intuitive, gifted healer who also has an incredible amount of training and knowledge and understanding. Honestly, that's the best of both worlds. Is you have, and I always talk about trauma provides you with a superpower. So the superpower you developed through your trauma is your ability to hyperconnect with knowledge and skill and understanding and growth in your mind in that way. So your mind is very strong. It's very well informed. And so when you do this work of connecting to your sense of self, your intuitive gifting, being comfortable in your own skin, being vulnerable, showing up authentically, then you're just so much more powerful as a therapist, because you still have all this incredible knowledge and tools and understanding to really know how to help people, but you're using your intuition to guide and be very present and be patient with the process. And if a client blames you, if a client shames you, if a client says you're a piece of shit as a therapist, then you're unbothered, because you know intuitively in who you are, and you're not going to let their trauma responses or their accusations hijack your sense of self. Your sense of self is fully intact. You don't need to move to self-protection because of the space that a client's in. Whether they're very much connected to their body, meaning they're all over the place, they're super emotional, they're irrational in their expression of self, or if they're very much in their head and very knowledge-based, and they are looking for the holes in your approach, or they're looking for whether or not you know what you're talking about, and they're very disconnected from their emotion and from their body. Either way, you're good. Like, you're not going to allow their dysregulation and expression of their dysregulation to dysregulate you. And this can only be done if you have really done the healing work of reconnecting your mind and body, releasing the defense mechanisms that you developed out of a need for safety. You don't need to create safety for yourself anymore. You are safe in who you are, in the expression of who you are. And then your artistry comes alive. Then you are a healing artist. So a healing artist sees their work as creative and an intuitive process. You can blend your technical skills, like I said, with this personal insight and artistry. You understand that healing is not just about addressing symptoms, but about creating a holistic experience that touches the mind, the body, and the spirit. You approach, it's deeply rooted. You have an incredible amount of self-awareness. You're very authentic, and you know that healing is ongoing and it takes many forms, and you don't need the satisfying hit of watching your client achieve anything. You can just be present with them. Like, we are a blip in the radar of their life. We cannot see the end result for every client. First of all, if you think about it, that's ridiculous. Like, we're all evolving. So maybe with some clients, we're lucky enough to be connected to them at a time in their life where they are towards the end of the most painful part of their journey, and they're evolving and coming alive and celebration of the hard work that they've done. Man, those clients are amazing to be with. I love those experiences. But to think we get to be in that process for every client is very unrealistic, and because it's a journey, right? And for many of us, we are supporting them in this season of their journey, but this may not be the season where they're evolving into the deepest part of their healing. And we need to be comfortable with that and okay with that, and be very present and powerful with the tools we provide, and allow them to guide what they need and how they need it, and to build those skills and tools and resources within themselves. But if we're not comfortable with that, then we're going to hijack their process and become more of like a teacher, a rescuer who is taking care of it, but really that's about us satisfying our own anxiety about whether or not we're a good therapist or we're doing a good job, or we need the satisfying hit of seeing them feel relief from their suffering. And so we will hijack their process to manipulate some relief so that we feel better and we feel like we're a good therapist. And honestly, so that they feel better too. They want that, but we're creating this scenario where they don't really fully build the tools and skills within themselves. And so the relief is short-lived for them. And it actually prolongs their suffering journey because they haven't really learned how to evolve for themselves and rescue themselves and take care of themselves and feel safe within their body. What they've learned in that process is that they need somebody else to help them feel safe with themselves. And it's unintentional, but it's so dangerous. And it's something that we very much do, and it comes from our need to watch our people come out of suffering. And if that's our goal, your only goal, then you will manipulate situations that actually prolong their suffering in the long run. All right, so our depth of engagement is very different as a healing artist. So a healing artist engages deeply with their clients. We see the therapeutic process as a co-creative journey. Like, I don't need to see my clients do anything. I'm going to be with them, be beside them, and co-create with them. I have incredible amount of knowledge, tools, and resources through the education that I've gotten and through my experience of years and years of working with people in pain and suffering. And so we want them, we are highly attuned to the subtle nuances of our clients' experiences. We have, like I said, we have all these techniques that we can use, but we're going to sit beside our clients and help guide them through their pain, through their suffering, and what they need to help connect to their feelings, experience and express their feelings, and discover who they are that's been buried for years through an attempt to create safety. Right? So if we sit beside somebody and help co-create that and provide some tools and resources, but are patient with the process of them fumbling around with those tools and resources and trying to find who they are and develop the muscles that they need to develop in order to experience and express grief, be comfortable in their skin and know who they are and discover that. I mean, honestly, it takes a little time, right? Like, once you clear out the false belief systems, there's this period of vacancy that's, the time period is different for everyone, but for some people, it can take a while to get through that vacant period and then allow the real sense of self to emerge and come alive. And if we're not comfortable allowing that within our clients, then we're going to fall into that rescuer role. We're going to hijack their healing process to try and expedite their developmental needs. And again, while that feels very satisfactory for us and it feels very satisfactory for them, because the ambiguity in that vacant space is very hard to tolerate. It creates a lot of anxiety. And so, but we need to, if we're really wanting to help them evolve and transform, then our goal is to help them manage that anxiety and be okay with that anxiety and develop the muscle of trusting themselves and trusting their process and trusting the development of who they are through that stage. And then, help them navigate their own ways they self-sabotage and their own ways that they trip back up and go back into self-doubt and shame and their trauma responses, right? Like, if we're not comfortable in that space, then we'll rescue them from that space. And again, it feels very satisfying short term, but it creates more long-term pain and suffering for them, because they still have to develop through this space where they really find themselves and know who they are. All right, so a healing artist has the purpose and intention. The purpose and intention is different. So the purpose of a healing artist is to facilitate deep, transformative healing that goes beyond surface level change. Now, what's interesting is that a rescuer thinks that's what they're doing, but actually, if you are a rescuer, you're satisfying anxiety. You're not really satisfying that deep transformative healing. You actually are just at a surface level change. It doesn't feel that way, but if you think about it, if you are not comfortable with a client who's feeling a little lost, they don't know their way, they're unsure if therapy's working, they maybe start to blame you. If you can't manage that space very well, then you're going to quickly do what you need to do to soothe and satisfy. It's only soothing and satisfying for a temporary time, and the chaos will come back up because it's still there under the surface. All right, so your intention is to empower, a healing artist's intention is to empower clients to access their own healing potential. We want to guide them towards self-discovery and lasting transformation. And a therapist who has done the work of having incredible amounts of knowledge and skill, but can be really comfortable and patient with a client who's who's wobbling around, trying to find who they are, and just, find the courage and strength within themselves to really transform and change the paradigm of how they see themselves and how they see the world. It takes so much courage for a client to do that, and for us to just be really present with that process and not need to fix it or hijack it or expedite it. Man, what a gift that is to the people that we're serving. And only a true artist, a healing artist, can do that, can be in that space and allow for the creativity to find itself and express itself in the clients that we're serving. So if you're playing a rescuer, we want to provide that immediate supportive relief. We want to help our clients overcome specific challenges. We want the satisfaction of seeing them get better and feel better, right? And that's normal. Of course, we want to see the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the fruits of our labor. We want to see the outcome. And with many of our clients we do, but with many we don't. And with many it takes time. And with many we see pieces of it, but then they need to go live their life and the evolution of who they are, in their journey. It might be a few steps down the road before they can really experience and see the real fruit of all this work, transformative work that they're doing. That if you're a healing artist and you're comfortable in who you are and the work that you're providing, then it's amazing if you get to see it, but you don't need to see it to prove that you're good at what you do and that your work is valid and effective. You know that without needing to see every client light up with the work that you're doing, right? You're not dependent on what they're saying about you or what they're saying about the sessions. You're confident in the healing journey and what it entails. You know exactly what that looks like, and you're confident in your skills and the tools that you've developed in helping somebody get there. And it's okay. The time that it takes is the time that it takes. And if you have a client who's really ready and can dive in and transform, you're there and present with them and giving them the tools. But if you have a client who's more resistant or more frustrated or trying to get you to be a rescuer to them, like that doesn't hijack you and your process. Like you're very comfortable in the artistic expression of the healing that you provide, and you're comfortable opening that space for them and allowing them to either find their way through it or they may not, and some leave. But that doesn't mean that you're a bad therapist. You know that just means, okay, they're not ready for this part of the journey. I wish them well, and I'm going to focus on those who are. So if you want, what I'd like is for you to think of therapy as more than just a set of techniques or a series of sessions, and approach it as an art form where your unique style sets you apart and has the power to profoundly change lives. This will elevate your practice and with confidence and reignite your passion for the work you do, because it's coming from the essence of who you are and makes that work part of you. It's no longer like a transactional exchange. And this is what I meant by like compassion fatigue and burnout. If it's a transactional exchange, then you need something from your clients. You need to see them get better. You need to exchange your knowledge and your information and your tools for them feeling like you're doing a good job as a therapist and then feeling better and getting better. And it's very transactional. There's no real sense of purpose and self in those transactions. And that's why we get bored with the work that we're doing, why we burn out from this work, why it feels there's just this disconnect in it. And then we feel guilty for having that disconnect because we know we're like helping people with real problems. And it's just kind of this cyclical issue if you're not able to be really fully present and bring your full artistic expression into the work that you're doing. So if you feel like you're going through the motions, if you feel like you're applying your techniques and following protocols, but something's just missing, then this is a sign that you that you haven't been able to step yet into the fullest expression of the healing artist that you are, that you're still hiding yourself in self-protection. And so I want to help you unlock where is the self-protection for you? Are you self-protecting and hiding in your knowledge and tools and skills? Are you self-protecting in other ways? Because when we're hiding a piece of ourselves and we're not fully present, then there is just this constant underlying dissatisfaction with the life that we're living and the way that we're serving. So, the art of healing trauma is about viewing your work as creative and an intuitive process, about blending those technical skills that you have with your personal insights, imagination, your artistry, and just being very present in your sense of self rather than just helping people and addressing their symptoms and solving problems, right? You're engaging in a deeper, more holistic process that's touching their mind, body, and spirit with your mind, body, and spirit. And you can do that very ethically, right? So if you're thinking in very black and white terms and thinking, well, I can't do that, my ethics say this, then that's even more of a sign that you are disconnected, because when we disconnect, trauma causes us to think in very black and white terms. And let me be clear, the ethical code is a black and white code, and it is there for a reason. It is there to protect our clients. And I absolutely fully agree and abide by the ethical codes with which we have. And I'm saying that it's very easy to use those ethical codes to perpetuate the disconnection of self. And if you're doing that, then you probably are feeling a little dissatisfied, a little disconnected, or you are still stuck in this rat race of I have to prove myself, I have to prove myself, I have to prove myself, and you won't let yourself just be present and available and truly allow your artistic skills come alive as a healer. All right, so one of the most powerful aspects of the healing artist mindset is that it allows you to develop that unique style that only you have. So just like no two artists paint the same way, or no two dancers dance the same way, no two healing artists approach their work in the exact same manner. It's individual, it's you, and it's not just like a nice to have, it's essential, and we need your specific skills and gifting to really come alive in this world, because you can connect with people in ways that I cannot, and I can connect to people in ways that you cannot, and we need everyone to be really fully connected to their unique artistic skills and giftings in order to truly transmute and transform the pain and suffering of the world. In order to really raise the collective, then each of us coming forward comfortably with our own unique skills and giftings is what's going to create the transformation that we're all looking for. So what do you have to offer in a way that only you can offer it? If you think it's like the next training, the next EMDR, or the next DBT, or the next, like, all those things are amazing. I'm not at all saying that you shouldn't have any of those things. What I'm saying is that if you're relying on those things to prove your worth as who you are, then that's not you. How can you come alive as an artist who can use those skills in a way that only you can use them, who connect with clients with those skills in ways that only you can do that? And you can't know that if you are hiding in self-protection behind those skills and just using those skills, but there's a disconnect between you, yourself, and your creative power combined with the skills. All right. So I want to go a little bit into how you can begin to adopt this mindset, how you can begin to consider and play with connecting with your artistic skill set as a healer. So I have a few things I have 4 things that you can consider and look at to see kind of where you're at on the scale and spectrum, and if you need additional support and if you don't. So here we go. So the first is embracing your creativity, giving yourself permission to think outside the box, experiment with new techniques, integrate different modalities, and let your intuition guide you. So if you are trained in some specific techniques like EMDR or DBT or whatever, that's great. how can you trust yourself to engage your artistic skill and intuition with those tools? How can you infuse yourself into that process to really make it come alive in who you are, right? So again, let's look at paintings and think of paintings. There are paint by number paintings. I actually like to do them sometimes, the big canvas. I have one in my living room right now, actually. It's a giraffe. So I can follow the paint by numbers. I can paint and create this giraffe, and it's cute. It's fine. Like it's probably not something I'm going to hang on the wall, but it's not about that. It's about me just getting to get paints out and have fun creating something. But if that's the way I continue to move forward in my artistic skill as a painter, then it's not likely that I will ever be known as an incredible painter or somebody who is this really incredible gifted painting artist. Versus a painter who has learned incredible technique and skill in how to use the brushes and the strokes and the combination of colors and the textures of different kinds of paints. And they stand before a canvas and they use their self, their intuition, their gifting, their creativity, and creating a masterpiece where they've combined the skills of the brushstrokes and all that they've learned with their own intuitive sense of self. Those are the people that were like, wow, look at that artist creating. And like, we're moved by it, and we pay thousands of dollars to own those pieces, and we hang them in galleries and people come observe them because it's so powerful, because they've combined who they are and their creative sense of self with the technique and skill of painting. And this is what I want you to do. This is how I want to encourage you as a healing artist. You have this skill within you. You have this creative power within you. Let it come out. Feel comfortable enough in who you are, and step out from the hiding of the techniques and tools because you don't feel safe being vulnerable as your most expressive creative self. That's where the magic happens. That's where the healing happens. That's where you emerge as a powerhouse in the healing space, because you're so comfortable with who you are and you have incredible tools and talents and knowledge and understanding that you've combined with this creativity to create a really powerful, transformative experience for the people who get to be in your space, right? So that's the first one. Second one, cultivating self-awareness. So take time to reflect on your own experiences and how they've influenced your work. So take time to think, like, okay, how am I closing off in self-protection? Do I hide behind my knowledge and understanding? Is there a space in my life where I can just be me? Or do I have to be alone in order to feel like I'm fully me? Is there a person or a place that I can just be in my own skin, be as expressive as I want to be without worrying about what people think, how they think about it? Like, is there a space for that? Cultivate your self-awareness so you understand what your limitations are. All right. And then number 3, focus on the process, not just the outcomes. Like I've said before, like, healing is a journey, not a destination. So be present with your clients and allow their process to unfold naturally. Don't hijack or manipulate anyone's healing or growth in order to satisfy theirs or your need to see if it's working or make sure it's working or to relieve their pain and suffering. Allow the space for them to evolve and grow the muscles and the skills that they need to process their own grief and rescue themselves from their pain and suffering, because then you've allowed them to develop that tool that they will have the rest of their life. Whereas if you rescue them from that or hijack that process for them, then they will always need somebody to help them, and they don't really get to experience their highest expression of their self. Okay, number 4, Celebrate your uniqueness. Don't be afraid to develop your own style. The more authentic you are, the more powerful your work will be. So this ties a little bit into the first one, embracing your creativity. But what is your uniqueness? What's unique about you? Are you doing or not doing something right now because you think that's what a therapist should do? All right. So whether that's the way you dress, the way you've decorated your office, doing in-person versus online, or doing online versus in-person, or you're doing groups or you're not doing groups. Like, is there anything you're doing because you think that's what a therapist should do, or you're supposed to do, or your business coach told you this is how it needs to be done? Like, that takes away your own unique individual style, your authenticity, which dilutes your power. All right, like I said, we need every kind of everything. So if you are like a tatted up, pierced up, whatever, and you want your office to be neon lights and crazy, that's you. Do it. Go for it, because there is a population of people who need that therapist. If you are more traditional, you like in-person sessions, then do that. Fully embrace it, own it, because there's a population of people who need you. If you're only online, if you're like, my work-life balance is best if I'm online, if I'm traveling, then do that. And there's a population of people who need that from you. When you are your most authentic, powerful self, then the people who need you can find you and will emerge and will seek you and connect with you, and they will heal and grow through you because you're being authentic. You're bringing your most authentic self, and then it gives them permission, unconscious. This is all unconscious. It's all energy, right? Like if you're in that energy, then it gives them permission to be in that energy too. But if you're in hiding, if you are in self-protection, then the people you're serving, they're going to maybe heal and grow a little bit, but they're also going to be in hiding and in self-protection, because if you are, it doesn't give them permission to not be. Like, it just doesn't work like that. They're only going to grow to the level that you yourself have grown if they're with you, if they're connected to you. All right. So those are the 4 pieces. Embrace your creativity, cultivate your self-awareness, focus on the process, not just the outcomes for your clients, and celebrate your uniqueness. And if you don't know what your uniqueness is, then that's the place to start. Find it. Play around with different things and find what's you, and then express that and be full with that. All right. So if you're adopting the healing artist mindset, you're not just elevating your practice, you're transforming it. You're moving from being someone who helps people to become someone who is a true healing artist, who is fully in your art form, someone who creates lasting, meaningful change for lives to come, someone who is inspiring for people to want to be around and to watch and to grow and heal from. You have this within you. It just takes you getting over yourself in order for it to fully come alive. So here's what I have for you. If you're like, I hear you, Janice, I see this, I hear it, but I'm so far from that, or I don't even know where to begin, I have developed the Art of Healing Trauma for you. So what the Art of Healing Trauma is a 12-week journey that I take therapists on, where we look at all the ways you're in self-protection, all the ways that you're in hiding, while simultaneously also getting you certified in the trauma model. So the trauma model is an incredible healing process that Dr. Colin Ross through the Ross Institute has created that really dives under like diagnosis of people and really helps you understand the deep rooted belief systems that are developed because of trauma. And we learn the tools and skills we need to address somebody who has experienced everything from, lower T trauma to capital T trauma, complex trauma, all of it. The trauma model is research-based and been proven to be very effective in every setting, inpatient, outpatient, private practice, schools. Like it is very well used, resourced, research-based. So what I love about the Art of Healing Trauma is I give you the certification. You walk through the process of getting certified so you can add those credentials to your name. You can establish yourself as an expert in trauma once you finish this 12-week process. But we also very much look at your own healing journey, your own process. And I teach you how to apply the techniques that you're learning on yourself first, and address any ways in which you are still in self-protection, you're still in hiding, and any ways that you feel uncomfortable with emotion and the expression of emotion. And I teach you how to apply these techniques on yourself and really grow through them, because once you have, that's the best way we learn is through experience, right? So if you're able to apply these to yourself and work yourself through, then the skill is fully solidified, and you are such a powerhouse with the people that you're working with and that you're serving, and you evolve into your a higher expression of self, and you then allow the space energetically for your clients to evolve in that space too. It is just such an incredibly transformative experience. It's something that I wish and I'm working on getting this program into every school out there, every coaching certification program out there, because I so believe that it is what's needed to help people who are really gifted in healing, people who are healers, people who have the healing art skills within them, to really step into the confidence of that and come alive in that, so that you can transform lives in the most incredible, powerful, and effective way. So if this is something that you want to hear more about, learn more about, the links are in the show notes for you to become a healing artist, to join the Art of Healing Trauma, get certified in the trauma model, and transform the way you show up with your clients. All right, I will see you next week.